What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at the best strategy RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And we're starting off with Digimon Survive from Bandai Namco. Now, Digimon Survive is a pretty cool game. It's an interesting hybrid visual novel and tactical RPG set in this crazy, mysterious world filled with all sorts of monsters and deadly battles and traps to test your ability to survive. Now, you get lost in this school trip and you find yourself transported to a world inhabited by ferocious foes and new allies. Now, you can join the main character and his friends as they fight their way back home, multiple different pathways in this really unique, thrilling hybrid between a visual novel and turn-based strategy RPG. So I think that one of the coolest things about this game is absolutely the different dialogue options and endings that you can have. You should absolutely play through the game multiple times to see what could happen, because I think that's probably one of the best things about this title, that it really just takes that next level of storytelling for a Digimon game right up there with some of the best strategy RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. But speaking about going to different worlds, let's talk about XCOM 2 Collection from Firaxis Games. Now, this is a crazy title with aliens and humans and you fighting back after losing. It's nuts. So the Earth has changed quite a bit from what you know it. Now, 20 years have passed since the original world leaders offered an unconditional surrender. So this is the second game, not the first one. First one's not on the Switch, but the second one's really good. So you surrender to the alien forces, right? Now, in XCOM, the planet's last line of defense was left decimated and scattered. Now, in XCOM 2, the aliens rule Earth, building shining cities that promise a brilliant future for humanity on the surface while concealing a sinister and nasty agenda and eliminating all who dissent from their order. So you are brought in to have that last line, that last help to try to get things and turn it around for the humans. And XCOM has some of the best strategy RPG gameplay, hands down, on the Nintendo Switch. Really in-depth, a lot of different characters to use, really cool options and tools, quality of life features added in here. And with this collection, you get all of the DLC. A lot of great DLC all packed in there. It's a great portable game to play on the go, great game to play docked up on the TV. Highly recommend some XCOM Collection. But kind of shifting gears to something that's completely different, putting away the guns, and we're bringing out the swords, the spears, the weapons. Wargroove from Chucklefish. This one you take to the battlefield with Wargroove, a strategy game for up to 4 players. You got some multiplayer action in there. You can choose your commander, wage turn-based wars on battling factions, design, share maps, cutscenes, campaigns. This game got a lot of content packed in, really easy to use, editing tools, in-depth customization. I highly recommend Wargroove out there. I love the art style. I love the snappiness of the gameplay. It feels really good to play on Switch, especially on portable mode on that Nintendo Switch OLED or a Switch Lite. It's a really good game that doesn't drain the battery either. Like, you can play this game forever. I just remember playing this game without charging it for so long. So Wargroove, if you're looking for a great advanced wars style of game, but with like all different types of weapons that are different from that, check out Wargroove. But speaking of those awesome RPGs with different type of weapons, Disgaea 4 Complete Plus and Disgaea 5 Complete. Now, I wanted to put both of these games here because I didn't want to have a bunch of slots occupying games from the same franchises, so I combined them together. Disgaea 4 Complete, Disgaea 5 Complete. This is content. This is packed full of incredible content for you to play. But with this game, when the corruptment threatens to disrupt the way of life in Hades, Valkyria finds himself at the helm of a fury revolution. Gotta love the RPGs that have that revolution theme to them. Now you dive into the tale of the revolution and redemption, woven through dark and hilarious realm of vampires, werewolves, and other devilish denizens. Engage in immersive, in-depth, tactical based gameplay brimming with over-the-top destructive action, damage numbers popping out from anywhere, wild characters, all sorts of stuff. You gotta a bunch of special features to take up your netherworldly adventures to another level. Now that's Disgaea 4. Disgaea 5 has a different theme and everything, but yes, a lot of the gameplay elements are the same, but I highly recommend Disgaea 4 complete. I think that's one of the better Disgaea games out there, especially on the Nintendo Switch. But you really can't go wrong with any of the big Disgaea games on the Switch. Disgaea 1, the remake, that's also really good as well. So yes, Disgaea games, definitely pick them up. Some of the best strategy RPGs out there. But speaking of one of the best strategy RPGs out there, this one's actually rated one of the highest, if not the highest, on the Nintendo Switch with a 90+ rating, and that is SteamWorld Heist Ultimate Edition from Thunderful, or more like Image Informed Games back then, I guess. This is from the popular SteamWorld universe, a game that blew up on the Nintendo 3DS and had a great release on the Switch as well, but this is a little bit of a different style within the SteamWorld universe because it's a strategy RPG. So in this game, you join Captain Piper Faraday, smuggler and occasional pirate, as she recruits a ragtag team of steam-driven robots and sets out on a darling adventure. Sounds fun, right? Now, with your hardy crew, you'll board, loot, and shoot your way through enemy spaceships, overcome the challenges of the vast frontier by upgrading your robots with unique abilities, weapons, and even stylish hats. The hats are very important. You want to make sure that you're getting all the different hats for the abilities and the upgrades and all that. And I was surprised at how much I liked this game and how well it worked portable on the Nintendo Switch. SteamWorld Dig 2 is one of my favorite games on the Switch, period. One of my favorite independent titles. And SteamWorld Heist kind of takes things to the next level when it comes to some of the storytelling elements and the combat and the gameplay. Very in-depth and cheap as well. Definitely one of the better strategy RPGs on the Nintendo Switch, and something you shouldn't miss if you're looking for some strategy RPG-like action. But from that to one of the masters in the business, and that is Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Yes, Nintendo, WayForward, the long-delayed game. It's still one of the best. You get 2 full campaigns all bottled into one incredible package. And you can command your army in strategic, turn-based combat as a tactical advisor for the Orange Star Army. Your expertise is needed as you move through land, air, naval units across the battlefield with really colorful, fun, cute, but also deadly efficiency. You can take down these enemy squads and capture towns and bases to secure victory and keep the peace. Keep an eye out on the game-changing terrain and weather as you lead a variety of units across multiple maps. The remake does feature 2 campaigns, like I talked about, all built into one, so it's the first and the second game, and that covers the events of the Advance Wars and Advance Wars 2 Black Hole Rising. Now, you can fight alongside the capable commanding officers, which is a huge thing in this game because each commanding officer has their own ability. You can defend your land with the help of Andy, Max, Sammy, and other commanding officers, each with their own specialties, CO powers, and more. So yes, I love Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. I think that it's a phenomenal game that really they brought it back in a way that was probably the best for cost efficiency, and also to get both games packed in there for a good price of $60. Obviously, it'd be like full price, but you get 2 full package games in there. Plus there's online multiplayer, there's the map editor, there's just so much content packed into it, and it's just a charming game. If you want one of the best strategy tactics games on the Nintendo Switch, by far, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. You can't go wrong with that. But speaking of can't going wrong with a game, especially an old school game brought back, Tactics Ogre Reborn from Square Enix. Now, this is based off the 2010 release from the PSP. They kind of remastered that and brought that back, but the original game is like a Super Nintendo game, even older than that. So the game features improved graphics and sound, as well as updated game design, which is one of the best parts about this game. Now, it's bringing to life a new Tactics Ogre that remains true to its roots. For those who have played like Triangle Strategy, you're going to see a lot of that stuff inside here. Now, Tactics Ogre veterans will experience a game that surpasses their fondest memories, while players new to Tactics Ogre will rediscover a game unlike any that they've ever played. Reborn and deeper than ever. I can attest to that. I've played the game. It's very good. The game enables players to immerse themselves in the world and intrigue of Tactics Ogre like never before. So yeah, I highly recommend this game. It's a lot on discount. Not at this point. You can get it for like $30 or maybe even less in some places, and I just really like what they've done here, because they've taken this old game from a decade plus ago and they've modernized it with a lot of different tools and features for you to smoothly get from one campaign, one thing to the next, smoothly go from one level to the next one, and kind of get in and out of combat. that because there's a lot of aspects to this game. You can recruit a lot of different characters. There's a lot of different things that can happen and endings and stuff. So for me, this was absolutely one of the better strategy RPGs on the Nintendo Switch, hands down. And it's very well known when it comes to like Square Enix and what they do in this realm. But speaking of a game that's maybe not as well known, but is really good, one of the highest rated strategy RPGs on the Switch, it's called Into the Breach. This game came out a number of years ago, back in 2018 from Subset Games. Now in this title, you control powerful mechs from the future to defeat an alien threat. Each attempt to save the world presents a new randomly generated challenge in this turn-based strategy game. Now listen, I know the randomly generated rogue type of thing, I'm not a huge fan of that either, but the bite-sized action combined with the really sleek gameplay and mechanics actually creates a title that you will be addicted to. There was a point in time where all I did was play Into the Breach for like a week straight. I love the tight controlled maps where it's not just so huge to where you're on the map for like 10 years or anything like that. You just get in, get out. It's challenging, it's fun. There's a lot of customization and variability within the gameplay. If you haven't played Into the Breach, it's cheap on the Nintendo Switch. If you like strategy RPGs, this is absolutely a title to get. But going from something that's a bit smaller to something that's huge with strategy RPGs, and that is Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope plus Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle from 2017 to 2022 here, both of these titles. And yes, you guys all know about this title, or if you don't know about it, you definitely need to pick up both of the games. You team up with Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Rabbid Luigi, and their friends on this crazy galactic journey. It's actually a ton of fun that incorporates some adventure elements, some platforming elements into a strategy RPG as well. Plus the new one, Sparks of Hope, adds all these cool sparks that give you different abilities and you can level up alongside Mario and friends. You got side quests, compelling quests, collecting coins, a lot of cool stuff that you'd expect from a Mario adventure game, but also a cool strategy RPG all mixed into one. So both games are very good. Sparks of Hope is definitely a bit better in my opinion, but Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle has a different flow to it. It's more grid based with the characters moving on the grid, where Sparks of Hope has a little bit more of an action element to it when it comes to the strategy RPG combat. So it's pretty cool and you can't go wrong with either game in my opinion. But speaking of not going wrong, Fire Emblem, and yes, Fire Emblem Engage from Nintendo and Intelligent Systems. And the thing that I love about this game is the gameplay is Fire Emblem perfected. You can say what you want about the story, which yes, you fight against the Fell Dragon, 4 different kingdoms, you work together, heroes from the different worlds. It's an anniversary game. It all comes together. Sometimes the story elements can be a little bit weird, or the delivery on the actual lines, and it doesn't have that same feel of the Fire Emblem Three Houses or a Path of Radiance or some of the other Fire Emblem games, which will be a detriment to some people. However, I think that if you're a big Fire Emblem fan, you will love the references. And if you've been playing Fire Emblem games for a long time, you will realize how refined and how good the combat is. I think that a lot of the elements of the combat are incredibly well done, especially the different engage rings and how those work and the abilities that you get and the difficulty lined up with it. This game pulls no punches, and there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do to customize each of your characters, to equip them with different weapons. They've added a lot of different quality of life features and things to the game. There's also DLC as well, so it's really well done. I think it's a phenomenal game with some deficiencies here and there with the story, but overall I had a blast putting in 100+ hours in there. And if you're a Fire Emblem fan, you will find the campy but cool story elements just really right in line with maybe what you would see from an anniversary type of game. But moving on to something that isn't an anniversary game and has some serious implications with the story, we're talking about Valkyria Chronicles plus Valkyria Chronicles 4 on the Nintendo Switch from SEGA. One of the best looking games on the Nintendo Switch period, and I would say probably the best looking strategy RPG in my opinion on the Switch when it comes to graphics and when it comes to art style. combined, you cannot go wrong with Valkyria Chronicles. It looks incredible still to this day. This is a PS3 game remastered, at least with Valkyria Chronicles, the original. Valkyria Chronicles 4 definitely looks better. They make it look more modern, but the art style that they use in this game is just impeccable, and I would love for them to continue this series. But talking about Valkyria Chronicles, because I think the base game to me just has that vibe, such a new and different style of strategy RPG. So the Principality of Gallia, this is the story setting up here, a small neutral country between two superpower nations, suddenly faces invasions at the hands of the Empire. In the face of overwhelming military power, the Gallian army has lost all hope. However, a ragtag volunteer militia has risen up against all odds to fight off the invading Imperial army through various situations born of the extreme nature of war. This large-scale strategy RPG depicts themes such as living life to the fullest and the importance of human relationship. And yes, they really mean that. Sounds corny, but they really mean that. You can upgrade, you talk with your characters, the different stuff that you can do, but the combat is so unique because you have this time element to it. Each character has their turn, but they can move freely, but as you move, enemies can shoot at you. As enemies move, you can shoot at them when it's their turn. It's just a great mix. You cannot go wrong with Valkyria Chronicles 1 or Valkyria Chronicles 4 on the Nintendo Switch, and they really need to remaster 2 and 3 because those games are also awesome from the PSP. Now, moving on to something else that's incredibly awesome and definitely one of the top picks here on the list, Triangle Strategy from Square Enix. So in this game, oh man, there's so much to say, but you got 3 different nations, and this sets up some of the best story that I've ever seen in a game. Now, you command a group of warriors, Serenoa, heir of House Wolfer, in a tangled plot where your decisions make all the difference, and yes, they make the big difference between what endings you're gonna get and what you do and all that. Man, it was nerve-wracking with some of these. Now, these key choices you make will bolster one of 3 convictions: utility, morality, and liberty, which together make up Serenoa's worldview and influence how the story will unfold. When faced with truly momentous decisions, multiple characters will weigh in by casting their votes on the scales of conviction, and you can alter what they feel or convince them one way or another by exploring, by gaining information. I really like that aspect of Triangle Strategy. I loved so many things that this game did, and with the combat, yes, there is more simplistic when it comes to some of the other strategy RPGs on this list, but it's very well done with the kudo system, encouraging you to fight the best that you can get, and also getting extra rewards for employing great tactics in there. So to me, Triangle Strategy with the multiple endings, with the different style of combat, with all the characters that you can get, with the snappy gameplay, it's easily one of the best strategy RPGs that I've ever played, and of course one of the best strategy RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. But speaking of the best, but the king is sitting on the throne, and that is Fire Emblem, one of the kings of strategy RPGs for a long time now. And Fire Emblem Three Houses is no stranger to greatness. To me, it's still the best strategy RPG on the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Intelligent Systems, Koei Tecmo. And what makes this game so compelling to me is the sheer visceral rawness of the story. No matter what side you're on, you can pick between the 3. You have the Blue Lions, you have the Golden Deer, you have the Black Eagles, and no matter what sides you pick, there is a heavily invested, I would say, emotional attachment to some of the characters, to the stories. It just feels like it'd be believable with the crest and having people treat you bad or better based off of your heritage. There's so many different things here, and you combine that with all of the cool new elements that they added in with the combat in the game. What you can do with the battalions, what you can do with the crest, how you can customize your characters, the different classes that you can have, the huge monastery, the different battle options. I mean, it really creates this awesome blend, this fusion of just incredibleness to where you want to play multiple times. I beat the game multiple times. It was very fun to go through and see different sides and different angles. And the game is almost split up into 2 games all in one cartridge or one package, with the first act and then also with the second act, the war act, which just takes things to an even crazier level of, I would say, dark and bitterness and despair, depending on what side you're on and your convictions with that. So to me, Fire Emblem Three Houses is still the king of strategy RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. Easily one of the best that I've ever played, and I highly recommend it to anybody out there when it comes down to it. So what are your thoughts on all the different strategy RPGs that we talked about here? Are there any that I missed that you'd love for me to talk about? I'll definitely be looking in the comment section. Also, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out our other videos right here on screen. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.